Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ashok. Today with this video, I am going to start a new crash course on LWC. And I am planning to complete this course in two parts. And part 1 video will be more focused on basic topics. And as we move further, we will take advanced topics. And in second part, we will discuss on advanced topics and also we will try to complete a live project. So if you are a beginner or a working professional in Salesforce, and you want to learn LWC from scratch to advanced, then please watch these videos complete. And I can assure you, if you watch these videos complete, then definitely you will be more comfortable in working with LWC. Alright, now let's discuss about course outline or agenda. So in first part, we will start from very basic topics and try to complete these all topics. So in which we will cover what is LWC, why Salesforce launched LWC, advantages of using LWC, how to get started with LWC, what all things you need to install in your system, and how you can create project, and how to connect your Salesforce org with your local project. And we will see how you can create your first component, and we will discuss about component bundle as well. And after completing your changes, how you can deploy that component to org, and how you can use that component in your Salesforce pages. And also we will see about local development server in the Salesforce, like how you can preview your LWC components without deploying on the Salesforce org. And also we will see about lifecycle hooks, data bindings, getter properties, and template directories. Okay, though these are the basic topics but important ones. And in second part, mostly we will do hands-on practice and try to complete these topics like decorators, data communication between related components and unrelated components, how you can dispatch and handle events, and what are lightning data services, what are base components, what are wire adapters, and how you can call Apex methods in LWC. All these things we will see with a project. So we will try to complete a live project as well in second video. So I would request you to watch these videos complete, so you will be able to more comfortable to work in LWC. Okay. So now let's discuss on what is LWC. So we can say LWC is a new programming model that is introduced by Salesforce to develop Lightning components. And it uses the latest web component standards like custom elements, templates, Shadow DOM, decorators, modules, and latest version of ECMAScript. And previously, Lightning components could be developed using Aura component framework, but now we can develop same Lightning component with LWC as well. And we can use LWC components almost everywhere in Salesforce, like on app builder pages, community pages, Aura components, Visualforce pages, quick links, and tabs also. And we can also use LWC components outside of Salesforce as well with the help of Lightning Out feature. Okay, so in nutshell, we can say LWC is a client-side UI framework. Using that, we can create Lightning components with the power of latest web standards. Okay, so this is the very basic definition of LWC. Now let's discuss about why Salesforce launched LWC if Aura was already there. So Aura was built in 2014, and at that moment, WebStack was not much powerful. And all the features those are required to build component-based framework, they were not part of web standards. And if you can see here in this image, most of the features are platform specific, not native. And you can see here, fewer options were available in web standards and more options were developed by frameworks. So in 2014, only standard elements, rendering, and events and ECMAScript 5 was there in web standards. And rest all the features were developed by the frameworks. Now if you can see web standards in 2019, then most of the features are the part of web standards itself and only few features are the part of frameworks. So this was the biggest reason behind that, because if a framework will use web standards, in that case performance will be very high. And in case of Aura, many features are built on framework level and there is an additional layer that converts framework specific features into browser compatible format. So to remove this additional layer task and to take advantage of latest web standards, Salesforce launched new framework, that is Lightning Web Components. Now if you see Aura programming model, then only these 4 features are used from WebStack and all these other blue background features were developed at framework level. And if you see LWC programming model, Then Salesforce include all the web standards, and on top of that, they added their few layers for security, for data access and pre-built components. Okay. So in nutshell, when Aura was launched in 2014, at that moment WebStack was not much powerful and many features were developed at framework level. And after 2014, there are lots of new features added in WebStack. So to take an advantage of those latest features, Salesforce has to come with new framework, that is LWC. Okay. Now next we have, what are the advantages of using LWC? So the first advantage is LWC use latest web standards. So as we have seen in previous slide, LWC support most of the web standards like custom elements, templates, shadow DOM, decorators and modules. Next we have better performance. So our browser understands only three things to render a web page. Those are HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And in LWC, we write most of the code in all these native languages. So the performance is very high because in this case, there is no need for additional web browser engine operation to convert the code as per browser requirement. Or we can say there is no extra abstraction layer. Code is already in browser compatible format. And LWC support most of the latest web standards. So web engine can quickly render the LWC component. And also most of the code runs at client side. Client side means at our browser. So we can avoid unnecessary server calls because whatever code we write in JavaScript controller, that will be executed at browser only. Next we have easy to learn. So LWC use native web standards, or we can say generally in LWC, we write code in standard JavaScript or HTML. So if anyone has experience on JavaScript or any web development technology who can easily work on LWC as well, like if a developer has experience in Angular, then he can quickly get started with LWC as well because both follow the same web standards. Okay. Next we have coexist with Aura components. So we can call our LWC components into Aura components as well. So let's say you are working on an older functionality in your Salesforce org and that is implemented in Aura. Now you want to build new requirement in LWC to take the benefits of LWC. So that is also possible. Like you can call your LWC component in Aura components as well. Next we have better security. So for security, LWC implemented an additional layer, that is Lightning Locker service. So whatever request and whatever operations we are performing in LWC, that is passed through the Lightning Locker service. So if Lightning Locker service will find any malicious request or any invalid request, that request will be terminated. Only valid request will be executed. Next we have out-of-box components. So LWC provide many built-in components for general purpose like data tables, cards, buttons, input controls and many more. So these are very helpful because we do not have to write code for everything. We can take leverage of these. Next we have unit testing support. So in LWC, we can write unit tests as well with the help of Jest framework. Okay. Now next we have how to get started with LWC. So as of now, we have seen what is LWC, why Salesforce launched LWC and what are the advantages of using LWC. Now, if you want to get started with LWC, then what is the way? Okay, so let's discuss on that. So first, let's talk about prerequisites. So if you are planning to get started with LWC, then mostly you should have basic knowledge of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So if you have at least basic knowledge of these web development technologies, then you can easily start on LWC. And if you are very beginner and even don't have basic knowledge of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, then I would recommend you to have at least basic knowledge of these technologies. And for basic understanding, you can refer W3 schools, and from there you will have idea of all these three basic technologies in less time. And for advanced JavaScript, you can refer MDN website, and I will give link for all these in description. You can refer from there as well. Okay. Now next we have how to set up development environment, like where we can develop LWC components. So as of now, we generally use developer console to write Apex classes, triggers, Visualforce pages and Aura components in Salesforce. But we can't create LWC components in developer console. For that, we have to use other third-party IDE, and most preferred is VS Code. So we have to set up our local development environment, and for that, we need to install these three things in our system. So first we have to install Salesforce CLI, then VS Code, and once VS Code is installed, then we have to install Salesforce extension package in VS Code. Okay. So now let me show you from where and how you can download and install this software. So let's start with Salesforce CLI. So let me open my browser and type Salesforce CLI and opens first link of Salesforce website. And here you will see different options for operating systems like for Mac OS, Windows and Linux. So you can select whichever operating system you are using right now, and you can select and click on this download button. And after download click, you can install it. In my system, I have already installed it. So let me click on cancel. Now after installation complete, if you want to check is it installed or not, then you can run sfds update command in your command prompt or terminal window. I am using Windows system, so let me open my command prompt and run sfds update command. Now if CLI has been installed, then it will check for the version update, else it will throw an error. So in my case, CLI was already installed, so update has been done. Okay, so this is how you can download and install Salesforce CLI. Now the second thing is we need to install VS Code. So let me type VS Code here and open the first link of official website of VS Code. Here also you will find many options, so you can select as per your operating system and click on the download icon. And after downloading complete, you have to install it. And after installation complete, you can open your VS Code. So that will look like this. And we can say VS Code is developed by Microsoft and open source IDE. And we can use this to write code in any language. We just have to install required extensions. And now we want to work on Salesforce technologies. Then we have to install Salesforce extension package. And for that, just click on this extension icon and type Salesforce extension package. So this is the extension, and once we install it, then it will enable Salesforce development in VS Code. And after installing this, we can start working on Apex classes, triggers, Visualforce pages, Aura components, including LWC. Like we can do anything that we used to do with the developer console as well. Okay. In my system, this is already installed. That's why you can see here uninstall button. But in your case, you will find an install button over here. So you just need to click on install and you need to wait for some time. Okay. And this is the only required extension to get started with Salesforce development. But if you want to install any other extensions like code formatter or anything else, that you can do in same way. And after installing extension, just restart your VS Code. Okay. So as of now, we are done with our environment setup and now we can start development. Now in order to start development, first we need to create project on our local system. And after creating project, we can create our components under this project. So we have two ways to create new project. First with the help of sfds CLI commands, or we can use command palette UI. So if you are good with the commands, then you can run command, else you can use command palette UI. So now let me open my VS Code again and let's close this extension window. Now if you want to run command, that you can run over here in this terminal window, or if you want to use command palette UI, then you need to press Ctrl Shift and P and you will find this interface, and here you will get options to create project. In my case, this is on top because I have recently used it, but in your case, if you are not able to find it, then just type here create project, and once find it, then click on this. This may take some time, so please have patience. And next we have to select template type. So for now, let's select standard. Here we need to give the project name. So let me type project name. And at last, we need to select folder where we want to save this project on our local directory. And we need to click on this create project button. This will create a brand new project for us. And you can see project name here. And all the available projects and files will be listed here. Okay. Okay. So as of now, we have created our project on our local system, but our Salesforce org doesn't know about this. So in order to push and retrieve changes from Salesforce org, we have to connect our local project with Salesforce org. So this is also we can achieve in two ways with the help of SFDS CLI command or command palette UI. So let me open my VS Code again and I will go with the command palette UI. So let me press Ctrl+Shift+P. And here we will find an option to authorize an org. So let me type authorize. Okay, this is here, but you may not found it when you just started VS Code. But once Salesforce extension get activated in your VS Code, then it will be available for you. Okay, so let me select this authorize an org. Here we need to select environment. Environment means what kind of org you are using. So if you are using production, scratch org or developers, then you need to select this login.salesforce.com. And if you are using any sandbox, then you need to select this test.salesforce.com. And if you have enabled custom domains in your org, then you need to select this option and enter your login URL. And from here, Salesforce just wanted to know like which URL you will use to login. And if you are new or don't know about sandbox, scratch org, developer org or production org, then do let me know in the comments. I will explain it to you. And I have scratch org, so let me select this project default. Now it is asking for alias name, so let me enter it and press enter. It will open browser and redirect us on login.salesforce.com to login. And here we need to provide username and password. So I have entered my login details. So let me click on login. After giving login details, if you are connecting your org first time, then it will ask to allow access. So Salesforce CLI can perform operations from there to org directly. Like it will provide a OAuth token that will be used when we commit or retrieve our changes from this org. Okay, so let me click on allow. So now let me go back to my VS Code again. You can see here command successfully run. It means our project has been connected successfully to our org. Okay, and in this bottom strip you can see alias name over here. So you get to know like which org is connected now. And this desktop icon is used to open your connected org. So if you want to directly open your org from here, then you can click on this. And one more thing you can notice here, that is this cloud icon. Now it means you have connected your project with Salesforce org. Now you can commit your changes to Salesforce org, and also you can retrieve other metadata from your Salesforce org to VS Code. Okay. So as of now, we have set up our development environment and created new project. And also we have authorized our project with Salesforce org. And now we will learn how we can create components in LWC. So to create new component, we can use CLI command, command palette UI, or we can also right click on this LWC folder and here you will find create lightning web component option. Okay, and you will find this LWC folder under force app, main and default. So let me select this option and here we need to provide component name. So let me type component name here, hello world, press enter. Now it is asking for desired directories, like where we want to save this component. So let this path selected like force app, main, default and LWC. So let me press enter. Okay, so new component has been created. You can see over here in this LWC folder. So when we create new component using CLI, then these three files are getting created by default: HTML, JS and meta XML file. And if we talk about component bundle, then we can have 5 files over there. 3 files are created by default by CLI, but additionally we can also create 2 more files if required, CSS and SVG. So let's discuss on these files one by one. First we have HTML file. So whatever we want to show to the user, that we will write over here. So HTML file is completely responsible for user interface, and this template is the default tag. Whatever we want to add additionally, that we will write in between this template tag. So let me type hello world here. So over here we can write any text, any HTML tag, and also we can call any other component as well over here. Okay. Next we have JS file. So we can say this is the backbone of component. Like all the logics that we want to perform in this component, that we will write over here in this JS file in the form of methods and events. Like over here we can define our business logics and events, and we can write code to fetch data from Salesforce and save data into Salesforce. So whatever operations we want to perform in our component, that we will write over here. And this is the fixed structure of component JS file. And this is a class which extends Lightning element based component, which is developed by Salesforce. On line number 1, you can see this is how we are importing it from LWC module. And if you want to see what we have in this base component, then just press F12 on this. It will open the definition of Lightning element. Okay. Now let me close it. Next we have meta.xml file. So we can say in meta.xml file, we can define configurations for this component, like title for the component and targets. Target means where we can use this component, and also there are many other options available that we will see in the later part. And CSS file we will see in few minutes. So to move further, let's assume we are done with our changes. I mean, we just want to show hello world on our component. And now we want to deploy our component to Salesforce org. So in order to deploy our component to org, again we have multiple ways, like we can use CLI commands, command palette UI, or additionally we can right click on this folder. So once you will right click, then you will find option over here, deploy source to org. So what it will do, it will deploy this component to selected org, and where you can check selected org, here on this bottom strip. So you can see the alias name over here. Okay. So before deploying this component to org, we need to do some configuration in meta.xml file. So let me open meta.xml file. So on line number 4, you can see is exposed is defined false. So what does it mean? It means we can't use this component separately anywhere in Salesforce. Only we can use this component as a child component in any other LWC component or Aura component, and also in Visualforce pages. But if you want to use it in Salesforce directly, like on app builder pages, then you won't be able to access it because this component is not exposed till now. So if you want to use any component in Salesforce individually, then you need to set this property to true. So let me also set it true. And one more attribute we need to define here, that is targets. So by setting is exposed true means we have exposed this component to use in Salesforce, but where? I mean where we can use this component, that also we need to define targets section. So wherever we want to use this component, that we need to define here as a target. So let me add targets to use it in a home page and app page. So let's add targets here. Then under this target, then app page, then again for home page. And additionally, if you require to define more targets, once you press Ctrl space over here, then you will see this list over here. So you can select whatever target you want to define over here. Okay. So as of now, I will go with this app page and home page. So let me remove this one. Now we are done with our basic configuration. So let's deploy this component to org. So let me right click on this component folder, or you can also right click on any file in this component, like on meta file or JS file or HTML file. So let me right click on this meta file, and here you will find deploy this source to org. So let me click on this. Now CLI is compiling our component, and checking for any syntax error. If there is any syntax related or any other error, then you will find error, else it will deploy successfully. Okay, so in our case, command has been run successfully, and here in this output window you can see status as well, like these 3 files are created in our Salesforce org. Okay, so this is how you can deploy your component to Salesforce org. Now let's see how we can use this component on our Salesforce pages. So let me open my Salesforce org, and let's open any app. Let's select service. Okay, so for demo purpose, let's add this component on this home page. So let me click on this gear icon, and here we will find an option for edit page. So let me click on this, and it will open a app builder UI in which we can create and edit Salesforce pages like app page, home page, and record page. Now here in this component panel, on top you will find all the standard components. Those are pre-built by the Salesforce, and below this here you will find custom components. So what all components created by us, those will be visible here, either Aura components or Lightning Web components. Okay, so you can see our Hello World component is here now, but if you have lots of components, then you can find it from here like this. Okay, and now you need to drag and drop this component wherever you want to add it, and as of now I want to add it on top of assistant. So let me drag and drop it here. Okay, so this is how you can add any component on Salesforce pages. And if you don't know about app builder or app builder pages, then do let me know in the comments. I will explain it to you. And now let's save and check it. So let me click on this save button. And let's make it org default. Okay, now let's click on this back button. All right, so here you can see our Hello World component. Though right now it is not coming with white background, but we will do it later. So we have seen end-to-end flow, like how you can create component, how to deploy that on org, and how to use that component into Salesforce pages. Okay, so now to move further, let's say you want this Hello World text in red color. So how you can do that? With the help of CSS. And you can use CSS in multiple ways. Like you can write inline CSS. Inline means we can write CSS within element markup. So let me show you how you can add this. First, let me add h1 tag here. And here within this HTML markup, you can add style attribute. Then you can use color property. So let me set red. Okay. So this is how you can set inline styling on HTML tags. So I have defined text color red. Now to test it, let me deploy it again to org. Deployment successful. Now if you will check over here in the output window, now you will find status is changed. Earlier it was created, but now it is changed because now we are updating the content in component. Okay. Now let's open our org again and do hard refresh by pressing Ctrl and F5, because sometimes changes may not reflect due to cache. Okay, now you can see text in red color. So this is how you can apply inline CSS on tags. Now let's say you have many heading tags, like 4 to 5 heading tags. So let me copy and paste. Hello World 1, 2, 3 and 4, and also add lightning card over here. So background will be white. And now we have added a lightning card, and under this lightning card we have 5 heading tags. Okay, now let's deploy and check it again. Okay, now you can see 5 hello world headings are here. But now let's say you want to change this color from red to green. Then what you need to do? You need to make changes over here at 5 places. And also you can see this redundant code with all these 5 headings. Like we have style attribute and color property with all these heading tags. So to overcome this problem and make our code clean and maintainable, what we can do? We can create a CSS file and we can have all the common CSS over there. So now let me create a CSS file under this component. And please make sure that file name should be same as component name and extension will be CSS. Okay. So now we have created CSS file. So let's add text class CSS here. So that can be used in all the heading tags. So to add CSS in our CSS file, we require a selector, and selector can be tag name, class name and element ID. So for now, let's use this h1 tag name and write CSS. Same color property we can use over here. Okay, so I have used h1 selector over here and I have defined color green. Okay, now let's remove this style attribute from here. Alright, now you can see green color with all the headings from centralized place, like we have defined only in CSS file. But you may have observed one thing here, that whenever we made any changes in component, then if we want to verify it, in that case, we need to deploy and test it in our Salesforce org. So it is a time consuming process. Sometime to set design, we need to do changes many times. In that case, it will take lots of time. So to overcome this problem, Salesforce introduced local development server. Now let's talk about local development server. So we can say this is the local server which will be installed in our system, and with the help of this we can preview and test our components without deploying to Salesforce org. And it will enable a localhost port and default port number is 3333. And we can run this localhost URL in our browser and can preview our components, and this local server act as a watcher. So whenever we change and save anything in component, then it will automatically update preview of our component on our localhost URL. So now let's discuss how to set up this on our local system. So first of all, you should have Salesforce CLI installed in your system. And second, we need to download and install this local development server with the help of this command. So you can run this command in your command prompt or terminal window. And once you will run this command, it will automatically download and install local development server in our system. And I will also paste Salesforce documentation link. So from there, you will get this installation command and instructions. And in my case, I have already installed it in my system. Okay. So once you are done with installation, and now if you want to start this local server, then you can use this command. This command will start local server and show you the running port number. So let me try to run this in my VS Code. Okay, now you can see local server has been started on this URL. So let me open this URL. It will open an Salesforce interface, and here you can see all the available components in this project. So as of now, we have only this hello world component. So let me click on this. Now you can see preview of this component here on our local system without deploying to Salesforce. And you can see all the headings are here in the green color. Okay. Now let's make some changes in our component so we can verify that changes are reflecting real time. So let's change the color from green to red and wait for some time here. Okay, now you can see all the headings are in red color, and let's add one more heading over there, heading 5. Now once we press Ctrl S, it will redeploy this component to our local server. So let's test it over there. Okay, now you can see Hello World 5 heading is also available here. Okay, so this is very helpful and time saver for us. Like we can preview and test our components without deploying again and again to Salesforce org. But now the question is, can we interact with Salesforce data from this local server? Like when we will test CRUD operation from local development server, in that case, will data saved in Salesforce database? Then answer is yes. So if we will test a component for insert update, that data will directly reflected into Salesforce database. So try to avoid this local development server for testing when you are working with production or imported data. And there are other options also available to start this local development server. Like if you don't want to start with command, then we have some other ways also. Like you can right click on this component and you will find over here preview component locally. So what it will do? It will open this component directly in our browser for preview. Okay. And also you can start it from command palette UI. So press Ctrl+Shift+P and just type here preview. You can find over here preview component locally. This will also do the same thing. Okay. Now let's discuss on data binding, like how we can bind data from JavaScript file to HTML. So for now, let's have only one heading tag over here and remove all others. So as of now, we have this hello world text hard-coded in HTML file. Now let's say you want to make this component little bit dynamic and want to show this text from JavaScript file. So for that, let me open JS file and create a property. And assign value hello world. So this is how you can declare variables in LWC component, and you can create variable for any kind of primitive or non-primitive data type like string, integer, boolean and object. Now let's use this property in our HTML file. Let me remove this hard-coded text. Now here in HTML file, if we want to bind any kind of property, then we need to use curly braces, and under this we can use our property name. Okay, so this is the curly braces, and in between these curly braces we can use our property name. Okay, so this is how we can bind our JS properties or variables in HTML file. So at runtime, here instead of this property name, we will see value of this property. So now let's save and check it in our local development server. It is reloading. Now you can see same text is coming from JavaScript file, though spelling is incorrect. So let me correct it. Okay, now it is correct. So this was the example with primitive data type. But let's say we have an object in JavaScript file. Then how we can bind the properties of object in JavaScript file? So for that, let me create an object over here. Let's say employee, and add some properties like name, okay. So I have created an employee object, and in this I have created these 4 properties: name, age, city and salary. Now if you want to show this employee details on our UI, then how we can do this? So if we want to extract values from object, then we can use dot and then property name. So let me show you here. Let me create a div, then employee name. Now here in curly braces, first we will use object name. So object name is employee, then dot, and after dot we will use property name. So our name property name is name. Okay, so this is how we can extract values from object properties. Now let me do same thing for age, city and salary. Okay, now I have also added age, city and salary. So now let's save and test it. Okay, this is how we can bind properties from object. Now let's say you also want to show employee band on the basis of salary. Like if salary is less than 30,000, then B1, and if salary is less than 60,000, then B2, else B3. Okay, so how we can achieve this requirement? So let's try to add employee band. Employee band. Now value of band will be calculated on the basis of salary. So the question is, can we add expressions over here in the HTML? Like can we write conditions over here, like less than 30,000, then band should be B1? Then the answer is no. We cannot add any kind of expressions over here in HTML file in component. Then what is the solution? So in this case, we can create getter properties in our JS file, and we can add all the logics there in JavaScript and bind the getter property in HTML file. So let's create a getter property in JavaScript file. So for that, first we need to write get and then property name. The signature of getter property is just like as method, but we need to add get in the beginning. And also we cannot take any input parameter over here, like we can't write anything over here. This will not work here in the getter property, but in method we can take input parameters. So let me remove this. Okay, now let's implement our logic. Okay, so we are done with our logic. Like I have written over here, if salary is less than 30,000, then it will return B1, and if salary is less than 60,000, then it will return B2, else it will return B3. And I have hold this value in the constant, that is band, and from here I am returning the band. Okay, now let's use this getter property in our HTML file. So let me copy and paste it here. This will also be used in the same way as we are using any property. Okay, so now let me save it. Okay, so now you can see B2 here because our salary is between 30 to 60,000. Okay, now let's change the value of salary. So let me change it to 70,000. Now B3 should be there. So let's check it. All right, now we can see B3 here. Okay, so if we have a requirement where we need to do some calculation and we need to add expressions, in that case in LWC components we can create getter property and refer that into HTML file. Okay, so as of now we have seen how we can bind single variable or object in HTML file. But what if you have an array and want to show items of the array on UI? then we can use for each or iterator directive. So let's see this in practical. So let's create new property employee list. Okay, so I have created an employee list array type property and added 3 employee object, 3 employees details. Now let's say you want to show these employee details on UI. So let me open HTML file and create table. Okay, so now I have created a table and table heading with 4 columns. Now we want to iterate all the employees and want to show the list. So we have 2 options here. We can use for each directive or iterator directive. So let's first use for each, then we will see how to use iterator and when which should be used. Okay, so let me create markup, then I will explain it to you. Okay, so I have created table body and added template tag here, and also I have added for each directive here and assigned employee list. So now what it will do, it will run a loop for all the list items, and to access current item we have created an employee local variable in for item. Like with the help of this for item we can declare a local variable. So with the help of that we can use current item details, and this is how we can bind all the properties. And we have used this key directory here with tr, and this is required to have key directory with first child in for each or iterator. So the question is why this is required? Because when value get changed for the any of the item, then framework will use this key to identify the element to update the values, else framework will reiterate all the items. So framework use key to render only the items that changed, and key must be a string or number. We can't assign object in key, and we can say key is used for performance optimization, and this will not visible on our DOM. Okay, so we have added a template tag and for each directory over here, and we have provided our employee list to for each directory, and for item is used to declare the local variable. And over here under this iteration we have declared tr table row. So as per rule, first child of for each directory should have key attribute. So I have assigned employee code to this key, and this should be any unique string or number value. And this is how in TD we have bind our name, age and city and salary. Okay, so this is how we are done with our changes. So now let's check it. Okay, now you can see the table here, but this is not looking like a table. So let's add some SLDS CSS classes. Okay, now I have added some SLDS table classes. So now this is looking like a table, and SLDS is a CSS framework that is built by Salesforce. So we will see more about SLDS in next part of this course. Okay, So this is how we can iterate array or list property with the help of for each directive. And also we have another way to iterate array items in LWC, that is iterator. And this will also do the same thing like loop through each item, but it gives us two more properties, that is first and last. So with the help of them, we can identify first and last item of array. So if we have a requirement to apply special behavior with first and last item, then we can use iterator instead of for each directive. Okay, so now let's bind same employee list with iterator as well. Now let's use UL and NI instead of table. So let me complete markup, then I will explain it to you. Okay, so now we are done with basic markup. So I have used an unordered list here, and again I have used a template tag here, and this is the iterator directive, and over here after colon we need to provide the local variable name. So this is not necessary to have IT, we can change it to employee as well, like we can change it to anything else as well. So as of now let me have it employee. So this is also fine now, and I have assigned our employee list to iterator, and here I have used li list item. And as we have discussed with iterator and for each directive, first child should have key attribute, so I have assigned key attribute. But you may notice now we are using value to access the values of current item. So this is the structure of iterator, like if you want to access the values of current item, then you will get it in employee.value.property name. Okay, and here I have just showed the employee name. Okay, now let's check it in our browser. Okay, now you can see all the employees name here with the help of iterator as well. Now let me add some headings over there to differentiate. Okay, now you can see some spaces over here. Now let's say you want to add border on top of first item and bottom of the last item as like separators. So that we can achieve with the help of first and last property in iterator. So let me explain it to you. So here we will use new directive, that is if true. So if we want to conditionally render our HTML elements, then we can use this if true and false directive, and we need to provide boolean property with it. So now what we want to do, we want to add border if this is the first item, and how we can check that with the help of iterator first property. So let me add it here. And this first is the predefined property that is available in this iterator, and the data type is boolean. So whenever this loop is coming for first item, then this first property will be true. Okay, so let me add border CSS here. Okay, and also we want to add border and bottom of last item. So let me add that also. So to check the last item, we can use last property. This is also a boolean property. So let me add here border top and here border bottom. Now let me save it. Okay, you can see over here border on top of first item, and over here also we have border, but it is not visible. So let me add some margin with UL. Still this is not visible, so let me add some another tag here, BR. Okay, now you can see border on top of first item and bottom of last item. Okay, so if we have a requirement where we want to highlight first and last item, then we should use iterator instead of for each. And both directories are used to loop through list item in LWC. And additionally, we also have seen over here like how we can conditionally render the elements. So to render elements conditionally, we can use if tree directive, and we need to pass boolean property to it. And also we have one more directive, that is if false. This is the just opposite of if true. Okay, so we have seen over here data bindings with the single property, with the object and list also. Like single property we can use directly, like the sample text. Object properties we can use with the dot annotation, and we can iterate list with the help of for each directive or with the help of iterator directive. And for conditional rendering, we can use if true or if false directive. Okay. Now let's have a look of agenda again to verify covered items. Okay, so in part 1 video, we have covered what is LWC, why Salesforce launched LWC, what are the advantages of using LWC, how to get started with LWC, and how we can set up our system. Also, we have created a project and connected that project with Salesforce org. And also we have created our component and we have explained component bundle. And also we have deployed our component and used that in the Salesforce pages. And along with that, we have also seen like how you can set up local development server and what are the advantages of using this. Lifecycle hooks we didn't cover, so we need to cover this one also right now. And data bindings we have already discussed, getter properties we have discussed, HTML template directories we have covered, in which we have discussed conditional rendering and looping and iteration as well. Okay, so as per the agenda of part 1 video, lifecycle hooks are pending to discuss. So let's discuss about them. So now let's understand what are lifecycle hooks. So we can say a lifecycle hook is a callback method that triggered at a specific phase of component instance lifecycle. That means whenever our component get rendered on DOM, at that time, if you want to inject or run our custom code, then lifecycle hooks are the way. For example, you want to read data from Salesforce database, or you want to register some event handlers when component get loaded, or you want to unregister some event handlers when component unload. So such kind of things we can do in lifecycle hooks. And generally, we have 5 hooks in component lifecycle. So let's discuss about them one by one. So first we have constructor. So this will call when instance of component get created. Until now, component is not added in our DOM. DOM means document object model. And here you can set initial value for any variable, or also you can call Apex methods. Next we have connected callback, and it will call when the component is inserted into the DOM. So if you want to perform any kind of logic after component added into DOM, that you can do here. Also we can access elements of current component, but we can't access child component elements because child component are not loaded till now. And also we can fire any custom event and subscribe and unsubscribe messaging channels from here. Okay. Next we have rendered callback. So it will render after component completely rendered on the DOM. And we can say This is a special lifecycle hook that can be executed multiple times in component lifecycle. So if you want to perform any logic after the component finish the rendering phase, and if you want to work with child component elements, that you can do here. Next we have disconnected callback. So it will execute when a component getting removed from DOM, or we can say when a component is unloaded from DOM. So over here we can unsubscribe all the event listeners and unsubscribe all the lightning messaging channels that we have subscribed during our component lifecycle, because from here our component will be destroyed from DOM. So if we forgot to unsubscribe any event, then it will be a memory leakage. So in disconnected callback, we should unsubscribe all the event listener and other subscriptions. Okay. Next we have error callback. So this will execute whenever any kind of error occur in our component. So if you want to write any exception handling logic, that you can do here. Okay. Next we have render. So this is not a lifecycle hook, but this is a protected method in Lightning element class, and it will execute just after connected callback. But with the help of this, we can control template rendering for our component. I mean, we can render component template conditionally on the basis of some logics or conditions. Now let's see in practical how we can create and use these lifecycle hooks on our component. Okay, so here in JS file, let me create first constructor. So just type constructor here. Okay, so this is how you can create constructor, and here in constructor, this is required to call super method, because this is how the parent component constructor will get called. So this is mandatory to call super method in constructor, else it will not work. Now let me add some console log here. So I have added a console message here. So let's check it in our browser. Okay, so here we have a message hello world constructor. It means our constructor get called, and whatever code we have written in that also executed. Okay, now let's create connected callback, and just type connect. It will automatically suggest you. So just select that and press enter. Now let's add console here also. And in the same way, you can also create rendered and disconnected callback. Rendered callback. Okay, so this is how you can create lifecycle hooks, and you can write whatever code you want to write over here. As of now, I have defined just console message, but you can write your required code here. Like you want to get data from Salesforce and you want to add some handler on buttons, that you can do over here in connected callback. In rendered callback, let's say you want to do some DOM manipulation, and in connected callback, let's say you want to read some elements from child component. In disconnected callback, let's say you want to unregister all the event listeners. So you can write code accordingly. And in next part of this course, we will use these lifecycle hooks in our requirement. Okay, and for now, let's check these messages in console log. So once you will press F12 in your browser, then this console window will open. So over here you can see all the messages that we have printed from there. So according to this sequence, our constructor get called first, then connected callback, and then rendered callback. Okay, so this is the order of execution of our lifecycle hooks. But now let's say we have a child component also in this component. Then in what order these lifecycle hooks will get called? So let's discuss about them. So in that case, constructor will call parent to child, like parent component constructor will get called first, then child component. And same behavior we have with the connected callback, like parent components who call first, then child component. But in case of rendered callback, this order is reverse, like child components rendered callback will call first, then parent component rendered callback will call. Okay, and if we talk about disconnected callback, then disconnected callback also call from parent to child. Okay, and here you can see in this diagram, like first constructor of parent component will get called, And once component get inserted into DOM, then parent component connected callback will call, and from here it will directly go to the child component. Then same cycle will flow for the child, and once child component's rendered callback will call, then after it will come back to parent component and call rendered callback. So we can say rendered callback will call from bottom to top, and rest all other lifecycle hooks will call from parent to child, I mean top to bottom. Okay. Now let me show you this thing in practical. Like, let me create a new component and add that into hello world as a child. So let me create new component. So let me use command palette, Ctrl+Shift+P, create lightning web component. Let's type hello India. Okay, so we have created new component hello India. So let's type hello India here. Okay, now let's call this component in hello world as a child. So let me come back to hello world, and over here below this heading tag, let's call our child component. Now let me write the markup to call that hello India component here. Okay, so this is how you can call a component into another component. So whenever we are using a component as a markup into another component, then we need to use component name in kebab case. Kebab case means all the capital letters will get converted into small with prefix hyphen. So here you can see C-hello-India. So here C is the namespace for custom components, and you can see over here we have hello in the small, and we have I capital. So I is converted into small, and before that we have added hyphen. Okay, so this is how we can call a component into another component, and the main concept is component name will be converted into kebab case and C will be the prefix. Okay, now let me add all the lifecycle hooks in that new component as well, and just rename the text hello world to hello India. Now let's save it and check it in our browser. Now you can see hello India is here, and once you will see here, so the constructor for hello world get called first, then hello world connected callback, and after this connected callback, hello India constructor get called, then again hello India connected callback get called. Then you can notice here hello India rendered callback get called first, then rendered callback call for hello world. Okay, so this is the order of execution of our lifecycle hooks. Okay, and one more method we have discussed there, that is render, to render template conditionally. So generally we do not require it because we can use if true or false direct true to conditionally render HTML elements. But let's say you want to show completely different UI on the basis of some conditions, then this is the good option to create multiple HTML elements instead of writing all the code in single file. So I will show you this in practical in next part. Okay. So that's it for this video. I hope this video give you at least basic understanding about what is LWC, how to create project and components and use them into Salesforce, and how you can bind properties in HTML templates. So I was trying to explain basic concepts to you so you can easily understand advanced concepts. Those we will cover in next part, and we will take a use case and try to complete that in next part with all the advanced topics like data communication between related or non-related components and decorators, event handling, lightning data services, and many more. Okay, so please watch next part as well to learn advanced concepts. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe my YouTube channel so I will be motivated to create more content for you. Thank you for having patience and watching this video. I will see you in next part.